Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We have our next guest, Deborah Chelette Willis, and she's going to be talking to us how your brain and your heart want to talk to you. Welcome, Deborah. Go ahead. Take it away, Deborah.
Hi, Christy. I'm very excited to be here, and I brought some friends, and I'll explain who they are here in just a little bit. But it's been fun to listen to you and Jennifer about courage, because if it wasn't for pressing through my fears, I would be where I'm at right now, being able to share all this with you. I've been a trauma therapist for a long time, 20 plus years. I'm not sure that I started out that way, but that's kind of how my path has challenged me. I've worked with children as young as 2 years old and actually adults up to 104. So I've kind of got across the lifespan training in humanity. What's very near and dear to my heart is in the work that I've done with children. I've really come to understand that we misunderstand their behavior a lot. And because of the neuroscience that I didn't plan on getting into either, and now there's neurocardiology, but we're now learning how the brain and the heart work and how those things affect behavior. And so Your Brain and Heart Want to Talk to You is a little book that I just finished. It's number 17. It took me a long time to get the first one in 2010. And so I've been going at it ever since. And the book is designed to have these voices of these little puppets that you see behind me. It represents the cortex. And so I have Corey and Cora Cortex who are challenging what people believe about that part of the brain. This represents the amygdala, which is our fear receptor, or sometimes I like to call it our watchdog, because it's always watching to see if there's anything in the environment that might be a threat to us, and then it alerts us. The problem is that sometimes the amygdala can hijack us if we've had too many traumas or too much ongoing chronic stress in our life. So we have Amy and Andy Gadella in the book that explain about how they work. And then this is the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain that's designed to help calm us down when we get stressed out. And sometimes the amygdala can override the hippocampus. And so Harry and Hannah explain that in the book as well. And then that's when Corey and Cora can't quite get the messages to the child about what they know about what they're not supposed to be doing. And then we have Marty and May, Trauma Monster. And this is the part of the brain that kind of stores things that we don't want to think about, that we don't want to remember. But under certain circumstances, something in our environment through our sensory system can trigger those old memories. And that's when you see some of this difficult behavior in children. The biting, the kicking, the scratching, the yelling, running is a lot of times the things you'll see with the children. And then we have the heart, because we've learned a lot now, and the Heart Math Institute out of California has been doing research on how the heart and our emotions affect the brain and how they work together in order to help us either feel calm and relaxed and at ease and loving and caring, or how our emotions can be depleting and when we're frustrated and angry or fearful. So Sunny and Sally Hart also in the book are talking about how one can learn some techniques to help yourself shift out of stress and traumatic reaction to get back to a calm place. So I've been using these puppets for years. These are my second group of puppets. I had some made a long time ago, and then I had some special made. What's neat about these is I have one that looks like a boy, and then here's one that looks like a girl, and so the heads can be exchanged. If you're working with boys, you can use the boy puppet. If you're working with girls, you can just change the head over to the girl body. And so they've been real fun to work with. they're the voices in the book. And I do have a little bit of information in the beginning of it. I call it debriefing for adults, because what I've learned is that if you think of what we see in a child's behavior as the tip of the iceberg, what's driving that behavior is actually what's underneath, which we really can't see. So a lot of our methods that we use to correct children, to punish them, to try to help them understand what they're doing isn't okay, in the long term don't really work, at least not where the brain and the body's concerned. And that's what children have taught me a lot. What we don't understand either is that we have two systems in our brain, our survival system and our social and emotional, or our attachment system. So contrary to other kinds of information that's been out in the world, as human beings, we are really hardwired to connect to other human beings. And, I'm sure everyone can, understand when a baby comes in the world, they just don't know a lot of things. They're very, very dependent on the adults to take care of them. But it's not just physically. There's this emotional connection that is necessary to help children learn who they are and who they're not. It's really in relationships that we are reflected back who we are. And so if we're getting our needs met, good enough, there's no perfect parent out there. If you ever see one, let me know. I'd like to see what one looks like. But when we're good enough at meeting children's legitimate needs consistently, then that helps the amygdala feel calm. And so that helps development to proceed as it needs to, so that we're developing emotionally, we're developing mentally at the rate that a child needs to go based on love. If we do from fear, which a lot of our parenting practices have been fear-based, they will work in the immediate. But when it comes to the body and the nervous system, it creates a lot of fear and a lot of stress. And that can have an impact long-term, because we've learned a lot about what we experience as children continues to influence us as adults in our health. So there's studies out there called the ACEs study that was done with a lot of people that really shows how what happens to us can have an impact on our health when we get to be adults because of the stress. So I like to tell the story about Timmy and Tammy to kind of illustrate this. So Timmy gets up in the morning. It's time to go to school. Mom says, "Come on, Timmy, time to get up. Breakfast is ready." Timmy turns over and goes back to sleep. So about 10 minutes later, mom's getting a little bit nervous herself, a little stressed out. She's got to get to work. And now she knows that if he doesn't hurry up and get ready for school, he's not going to have time now to eat breakfast. That, the potential is she's going to be late. So she's getting stressed out. So now she's kind of raising her voice at Timmy. Then she goes into the room, turns on the light, which is stressful. Anybody have somebody do that to you? It's like bright light, and it doesn't make you feel calm. That's for sure. So, so Timmy gets up, and now he's in a bad mood. And she says, "I'm going to be back here in a couple of minutes. Get dressed." A couple of minutes pass. She doesn't hear anything. Timmy's sitting in the floor playing with toys, still in his pajamas. Now mom's stress level is really up. So she just kind of picks him up with his clothes, gives him a banana. "You're going to have to eat this for breakfast on the way because I cannot be late for work anymore." So Timmy gets dressed in the car on the way to school, eats his banana, gets out, walks to school, and he sees Sally. She's got these long pigtails. Well, he just can't resist it, and he grabs them, and he pulls on them. And, of course, now he's in trouble. So off to the principal's office he goes. Meanwhile, Tammy's mom calls her. It's time to get up, get ready for school. She gets up, she brushes her teeth, she washes her face, she gets her hair done, she gets dressed, and she's downstairs and is able to eat her breakfast. No problem. Of course, mom's feeling, don't I have a wonderful daughter? So she has a few minutes because she's got everything done. She has a few minutes before it's time to go to school. So she had a few things that she wasn't sure about her homework the night before. So she finishes that up, packs up her bags, and mom says, well, it's time to go. And so out the door they go. Mom drives her to school. She gets out and walks into the school and sees Timmy with his feet dangling from the chair that's too big for him by the principal's office. And she knows that he's been there most every day since the beginning of school. And she feels kind of sad for him. Yeah, but she's going to go see her friends and have some fun before school starts. So when you think of, those are both the tips of the iceberg of behavior. Very different behaviors, very different experiences, not only for the child, but for the people in their lives. And so if you look, though, at what's underneath the behavior, let's look at what happened with Timmy. Well, Timmy's mom, when she got pregnant, it was not a planned pregnancy. And when her husband found out, he left her. So now she's alone and stressed out because now she's got to, manage her pregnancy and work at her job and not be absent a lot. Otherwise there's a real possibility she could get fired. I mean, actually that has happened to women in that particular situation. So her whole pregnancy is very, very stressful. Her family doesn't really support her because they have the attitude, you made your bed, now you lay in it and you fix it. And so she doesn't have a lot of support. So the stress of her pregnancy is chronic and ongoing. And what we know is that the stress of the mother impacts the developing fetus and wires the brain to be more easily stressed later. So Timmy's born and he has the cord wrapped around his neck. And so there's some issues with that we call it birth trauma. And as trauma doesn't necessarily mean somebody has been abusive. It can be something like a medical procedure having to be done at birth or, a dangerous birth process. So when Timmy is born into the world, his little body is very, very stressed out. Not because he wants it that way, but because neurophysiologically, that's what's happened. So then he's a colicky baby. He cries and cries. And it's very hard for anyone to get him to calm down. And he gets into things and he's doesn't pay attention as he gets older. He gets kicked out of pre-K because he's aggressive with other kids. And so this has just been an ongoing thing because the adults in his life do not understand he's not being a bad child. He's a stressed out child because people haven't come to this new understanding of looking at what's driving the behavior instead of just focusing on the behavior. Now, back with Tammy, her mother and dad stayed together. They were happy about her being born. The whole extended family was involved. Mom had a great pregnancy. She worked, but she worked part-time, so she didn't have a lot of stress from that. And the birth process was she had it natural. She had Tammy naturally. So it was a lot less stress. So Tammy was a happy baby. She paid attention to the adults in her life. She felt loved and safe and secure. And so her amygdala was a lot calmer and her nervous system was a lot calmer than what Timothy's was. So you can kind of see how those early experiences end up with different behavior, but not because Tammy's just a good little girl and Timothy's just a bad little boy. It's because of a lot of things that we haven't really looked at. And And so that's been my passion, is helping parents understand some of the nerve grinding behavior they have had in their kids, where they've tried everything and nothing seemed to work. I can't tell you how often I've heard that over the course of my work. And what's so exciting too is that when I share this new information with parents or teachers or other counselors that are open and willing to investigate and use some of the techniques that have been developed, it's fun to see how quickly children can begin to shift. Because a stressed out adult cannot calm a stressed out child. A calm adult and an adult who understands what's driving that child's behavior can be very effective and can quickly help that child shift out of being in survival mode. That's what I call when we're in these two places. We're in that survival place, in that fight, that flight, that freeze, and that folding. And I've seen children do all of those. And it is a reaction. It is not a choice, unless you want to say their neurophysiology is making that choice for them. But it is not a conscious choice, because when we just get stressed out, even as adults, our thinking gets confused and distorted. Our short-term memory gets suppressed. You can't find your car keys you just had in your hand a second ago, right? That's what stress does to us. Or you can't find that report you had. And I just laid it on my desk. What did it do? Spring legs and walk away? Well, no. When we're stressed, our thinking isn't as clear as when we're in a calm place. And so I wrote this little book to give some of this knowledge and hope that people will read it and see the value of it and do their own research and go into it more deeply to help children, be able to learn how to calm themselves. Because the way a baby is calmed is when it's picked up and held from a person who is in a loving place, not a stressed out place.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're really right on. You have a few minutes to spare, and I appreciate you minding the time. And give out is there any contact information for the audience to get to you? If they want to
Yes, I have a website. I have a website, alifeofloveandbalance.com. They can also email me at Deborah, DeborahChelette@gmail.com, or my name at gmail.com. And all of my books are on Amazon.com. So you can just put my name in the search engine and you'll see what I've been doing with myself.
All right.
I also do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also do parent coaching and life coaching. So those options are available for people. And
awesome. This has
to
been
visit with anybody.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you, Deborah. I'll be talking to you later. I am hoping that you come back and join us in March 7th. That will be the next virtual summit. That will be March 7th. So thank you so much. And I'll be seeing you around. And audience, please be sure to contact Deborah and take advantage of her services and products. So bye-bye now.
Okay, bye-bye.